account manager with Rescue Agency, and I'm super excited to be here today to walk you all through a lot of the hard work that we've been preparing for upcoming year and the media campaigns that will be launching throughout the year. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Just a quick look at what we'll review today. We'll look at our overall timeline for the year. And then we'll talk a little bit about the different brands and campaigns that will be running within those. So we'll talk about It's Up to Us, Own Your Mindset, and Talk It Out SD, the San Diego Opioid Project, Crisis Response, and also our micro campaigns, our months of action. And we'll finish up here with a Q&A. Oops, sorry. Let's go ahead and dive in here. So we'll start with a little bit of a brand overview, and then looking at our campaign timeline. So just to kind of level set here, I wanted to start off by just going through the different county brands. So we have It's Up to Us that many of you are probably most familiar with. This brand is for adults and it's focused around mental health and suicide prevention. And since It's Up to Us is meant for adults, through our audience engagement efforts, we learned that teens would really benefit from their own brand that spoke to them using their voice and tone. So, given this, we developed a new brand for youth called Own Your Mindset. And we also Own Your Mindset, and that is focused on just mental health. And then we also developed a sub brand called Talk It Out SD that focuses solely on suicide prevention. And lastly, we have the San Diego Opioid Project, and this brand was initially launched with the District Attorney's Office several years ago, but has recently been refreshed and adopted by the county as the main substance misuse and prevention brand. And so throughout the presentation today, we'll take a look at the different campaigns that will be running under these three brands. And we'll also touch on the upcoming crisis response campaign that actually doesn't fall under any of these, but is a standalone campaign that will be running under HHSA. So here's our timeline for the year. Back in February, we actually launched Talk It Out SD. Again, this is our youth suicide prevention campaign, and it just concluded at the end of April. And here we are in May, and we currently have our micro campaign for Mental Health Matters Month live. And coming up in July, we'll be launching both the San Diego Opioid Project campaign, which is harm reduction and naloxone focused, along with our crisis response campaign that will focus on 988, MCRT, and other crisis response services. And then in August, we will have a fentanyl prevention and awareness month campaign, following by September with suicide prevention month. And then we'll have a little bit of a little bit of breathing room. And then in January, we will be launching our new adult mental health campaign under It's Up to Us that we'll talk about in a moment here. But we're super excited to have paid media live throughout the entire year. In addition to what you see here, we do have ongoing content that's posted under both It's Up to Us and Own Your Mindset on social media, and that is promoted content to help increase viewers and really help grow these accounts throughout the year. So now that you have sort of an overview of all the campaigns launching this year, we can take a deeper dive into each of these different brands and campaigns. So we'll start here with the backbone of them all. It's Up to Us, which again, I'm sure most of you are very familiar with. But the It's Up to Us campaign is designed to empower San Diegans to talk openly about mental health challenges, listen and recognize symptoms, and utilize resources and seek help. And by doing so, we really aim to inspire wellness, reduce stigma, and prevent suicide. And the It's Up to Us campaign aims to drive exposure, consumption, and interaction between the audience and message across a variety of channels such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, different digital media platforms, search, excuse me, TV, radio, and out of home. And these channels may change slightly from campaign to campaign, but generally these are the channels that are activated under It's Up to Us. And so I wanted to start here by kind of taking a look at what the campaign's focus has been to date. And the goal of the campaign always has been to motivate people to engage in help-seeking behavior sooner, that early intervention piece. And the audience has historically been for adults ages 18 plus in San Diego County, with a range of genders and identities, ethnic subgroups, and languages in both English and Spanish. And so we've tackled this in a number of ways, and you all may be familiar with these different campaigns that have launched over the years. But in 2021, we launched our check-in campaign, and this was coming out of COVID. We focused on the importance of talking about mental health. And the barrier we overcame with this campaign was that people started to think that because the pandemic was getting better, that mental health would just automatically get better as well. However, in order to move forward, people needed to actively address their mental health. So our action with this campaign was to really encourage people to have conversations. And for this campaign, our main talent in the video featured a 50+ Latino male, API woman, LGBTQ+, and frontline workers. And following this was our Overloaded campaign in 2022. And the barrier here was that people waited to seek support, outside support for mental health until it was extreme. And our message for this campaign was reminding our audience that when self-care isn't enough, seeking support can help. And the action for this campaign was to encourage our audience to seek professional services. And we actually developed 2 spots for this campaign. And the main talent featured were in their late 20s, early 30s, an adult Latinx male and Black African American female. And then in 2023, we launched the Loud campaign. And this campaign addressed the barrier of people internalizing and letting things build up before taking action. And we showed how getting support can quiet your mind so you can actually feel better, with the action to reach out to professional services and call helplines. And the main talent featured in this video was a non-white, multiracial male in his 40s. And now our focus for this year is adding in a health disparities layer. And we want to be thoughtful about layering the foundation for this audience and communications moving forward. And if you're wondering what we mean by health disparities, it really comes down to high prevalence of mental health challenges and worse outcomes, resulting in not accessing resources. And data shows that this impacts the Latinx, Black, API, and AIAN folks at the highest rates. So we're really excited for the opportunity to start messaging to these audience in a more nuanced way. So what we know is that it's a multi-step journey to action, from inactivity to awareness to actual utilization, and different groups are at different stages on this path. And people really begin with experiencing symptoms but aren't doing anything to address it. They may be feeling symptoms but aren't addressing their mental health because it isn't normalized, so they don't acknowledge or talk about it. The next step is awareness of the issue. And these health disparity groups, more than others, have lower mental health literacy and don't associate their experience with mental health. So once we overcome that, we move to personal relevance. And right now, they may not think their symptoms are severe enough to do something about, which leads us to relevance of support. And what we hear is that people don't think that treatment would be helpful or what they're feeling is treatable. And ultimately, if we move them to utilization, there are additional barriers like time, money, lack of insurance that prevent action. So, what's driving their lack of action? Of course, there are nuances, whether that's, for example, cultural experiences that label mental health behavior as disruptive or crazy. There's institutional distrust due to historical trauma, or maybe having a family or community norms that prioritize, keeping it in the family or keeping it behind closed doors. But then there are also some universal barriers for health disparities audiences. And those really center around lack of normalization of mental health that amplifies stigma. They're really only aware of emotional symptoms, and what we know is that symptoms go beyond emotional to physical. And in fact, these groups talk about experiences that are physical more than other groups, but they're not commonly associating um, those with mental health. And then attitudes that, this is who we are and this is the hand I've been dealt, which sort of makes them feel like it's unchangeable. So, diving a bit further, when we look at how typical health communications try to tackle mental health, they follow this same path, but they start at awareness of the issue. It's usually focusing on raising an awareness of mental health and depression, but many people haven't grown up with this. For example, AAPI community has the highest prevalence of not knowing someone who has a mental illness. They otherize or avoid. So when it moves down this path to importance of addressing depression or mental health, they've already tuned out. And usually these typical communications keep using words that are really hard for our audience to connect with. So taking a look at some of these examples on the slide, they label mental health as a problem. They dramatize it with the idea of being trapped. Even the phrase mental health can be a really big turnoff for these audiences. It feels scary and just not like what these groups are willing to accept or acknowledge. So now we can see why this doesn't work for health disparities groups. Many don't associate with these terms. They have this tough personal relationship with scary terms, so it's hard to really get them there. So they see work like this that is done all the time, and they disengage and say things like, that's not me. And there's just this massive blocker. It can activate more stigma, and their reaction is denial or avoidance instead of realizing that they need help. So you're probably wondering, okay, so you're talking a lot about all of this. So how do we approach this topic with health disparities groups who hold this deep-rooted stigma? And we at Rescue lean into the work we've done around tackling stigma and provide a framework for working through it. And it doesn't necessarily mean tackling it head on, but the most important thing here is we lead with their lived experience. So if the behavior and language around it is not normalized, we need to connect with their current lived experience and ask, like, are they currently experiencing mental health? And then we need to use terminology they better associate with. If they're never going to associate with terms like mental health, depression, mental illness, then we need to use, words that they know, like symptoms, stress, etc. And then once they learn, it's a softer approach. And then we're able to start including some of those other mental health terminology or words. So instead of starting right at awareness of the issue, it's important to take a step back and actually start with their experience. Again, it gives us that softer entry point to the topic, and it moves them down the path faster because addressing stigma head on can take years and many different layers of communication. By sidestepping the things that are preventing them from associating with and taking action on mental health, we can connect to their lived experience in their terms, demonstrate the importance of addressing symptoms, and show the effectiveness of taking action. And we actually get them closer to the action by doing this. And then, and only then, would we start calling out mental health. This is like down in step 4, where it really makes sense in their context. And we know lived experiences are different between these different groups, meaning messaging and the entry point may differ between them as well. And so we are hoping to develop messaging for each of the health disparity audiences, given the opportunity. However, for now, we were asked to develop this next adult mental health campaign under It's Up to Us for the Black African American audience. And so, after a bit of a deeper dive into this audience and even developing some initial concepts that were shared with folks within the audience, we learned that they actually are a bit further down the path, which is great. And when you shine a light on the real cause of many health issues facing the Black community, like stress from broken systems and interactions, it actually contributes to the stigma. So, all of that to say, we are really excited about our new upcoming adult mental health campaign that will focus specifically on the Black African American adults in San Diego, 18 plus, and really focusing on connecting people to resources that they may not otherwise know about, with this really hyper focus on shared experiences. And we'll be sure to take you all along for the ride. We're still in the very beginning stages of this, so there's not too much more to share, but I did just want to provide the background of where It's Up to Us has been and where it has evolved to and where we are today and what you can look forward to coming from this campaign. And so, switching gears just slightly, before we move on to the other amazing campaigns, brands, and campaigns we have, we are really excited about developing a brand new website for It's Up to Us. I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with the current site, and it has an overwhelming amount of content. In my opinion, it can be a bit hard to navigate because there is so much content. Um, so with this new website build, we're really keeping UX UI in mind and developing a resource hub or tool, if you will, that will be much easier to navigate. So we can't wait for the launch of this new website. It will be coming this summer. So keep an eye out for that. But as you can see here, there's a little snapshot of just the visual difference between the current site and the new site, which you see on the right, that will be launching soon. Okay, we've talked a lot about It's Up to Us, but like I said, we have some other amazing things happening. So let's dive into Own Your Mindset and Talk It Out SD, which are our youth-focused brands. So the Own Your Mindset campaign is designed to encourage and motivate teens ages 13 to 17 in San Diego County to actively address their mental health. And the Own Your Mindset campaign aims to drive exposure, consumption, and interaction between the audience and message across connected TV, gaming, streaming audio, and social media. And some of the considerations we took when developing this media plan for Own Your Mindset was really to meet our audience where they are, to increase knowledge of mental health resources and content formats that they're most likely to engage with. So, for example, short form content, vlogs, etc. Also, on platforms they're using to help cope with stress, on platforms that they have been shown to negatively impact their mental health, to sort of interrupt before any feelings or emotions get worse. And then also on platforms they're currently using to find health related information or consider a good source of learning. And so the digital placements are great because they increase awareness of messaging while the audience is engaging with content throughout the day. And these channels may be used to de-stress or cope. And then the paid social channels are great because the audiences are already on these platforms. So we can capture and engage their attention, excuse me, and drive them to the website to learn more. And this can also help interrupt any negative mental health effects. And then Talk It Out SD is a sub-brand that we designed to provide teens with additional strategies and tips around starting and having conversations about suicide. And so on the right here, the top snapshot is of the Own Your Mindset website, and then down at the bottom is just a snapshot of the Talk It Out SD webpage. So the Talk It Out campaign, like it just concluded at the end of April, as we saw in our timeline. So we are working to gather all of the metrics to really compile how the campaign performed overall. However, we did want to share just a sample of the ads that were live. So on the left side here, we have social ads, and you can see a few examples really talking about, starting those conversations, learning how to have those conversations. And then on the right side here, we have a few out-of-home examples. For this campaign, we had in-school posters and in-school banners so that these can target our audience, throughout the day. They're probably spending the majority of their day at school, so we can provide this information to them throughout their school day. And so where you can find Own Your Mindset and Talk It Out. So on the left side here, we have ownyourmindset.org. You can find all of the content and information about youth mental health on this webpage. And then on the right here, we have Talk It Out SD, where you can find all of the youth suicide prevention information. And you're also able to go to Own Your Mindset, and within the navigation, there is a suicide prevention option. And if you click it from there, it will take you to the Talk It Out webpage. And with the development of this campaign, we did create a few downloadable resources that I really want to highlight. One that focuses on tips to start a conversation, another on resources to ask for help, and a third one on resources to support my friend. And these are available in both English and Spanish on the website currently. So I definitely encourage you to download, share with any of your communities that this may be beneficial for. And if you are looking for suicide prevention resources for parents, caregivers, other adults, we also developed 2 downloadable resources that are available on Up2SD. And these are actually available in 12 different languages. So as you can see, all the different languages here on the screen. Okay, and we really would love for you all to, if you're not already, follow these different handles for Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. We have lots of content out there, and would love if you all would share and follow. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we are posting content on Facebook, or excuse me, on Instagram specifically, throughout the year. So there is new content every month that is being uploaded to Instagram. So again, please feel free to share on your social channels if it is relevant for the communities that you serve. Okay, so we're now going to dive into San Diego Opioid Project. And the SDOP, or Harm Reduction Campaign, is designed to reach San Diegans aged 20 to 39 with heavy substance use or substance use disorder. And this campaign aims to reduce the risk of fentanyl or opioid overdose by educating our audience on the best harm reduction tactics and really empowering them to take action. And some of the key objectives of this campaign includes increasing the administering of naloxone, an increase in use of test strips, an increase in use of overdose prevention helplines or apps, and an increase in calling 911 for emergency help. And SDOP aims to drive exposure, consumption, and interaction between the audience and message across out of home, social media, connected TV, and streaming audio. And as you can see here on the bottom of the screen, we do have just a snapshot of the website, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in just a moment. But we are super excited for the opportunity to update the branding. So if you're familiar with the current website, that design seems a bit outdated in our opinion. It's very dark and not very inviting in terms of the colors. So we're super excited to give this website a nice facelift and refresh. And as you can see here, we've updated the color palette to really brighten things up and make the site feel more approachable. We will also be using a combination of real images, icons, artwork, and illustrations. And we will also be expanding the website to 2 pages. So currently it's just one long page and you kind of scroll. But we will be expanding it to 2 pages, and the home page will focus more on fentanyl in general, and the second page will be all about naloxone. And this will really help that scroll length that I was just talking about, and then hopefully get people to the information they're looking for much quicker. Okay. And although the campaign is not live yet, we did want to give you all a sneak peek of how some of the ads will look when applying this new branding. So we're using these larger letters or big words as we're referring to them to really call out the main message. And as you can see, there's a few examples of social posts right here in the middle. And then on the right side, we also have an example of a bus shelter ad. And we do have some approved radio spots. So I thought I could play those for you all as a sneak peek as to what you may hear on the radio or streaming audio stations come July. So we have a 30-second and a 15-second, and I'll go ahead and play those for you all so you can hear. Let's see.
It just took one close call. Now I always carry naloxone. One of my guys got some pills that must have been laced with fentanyl. He was barely breathing, but someone had naloxone. It stopped him from overdosing. That's why I always have it on me now. It saved his life. It's free, super easy to use, and anyone can get it. See where you can get naloxone at SanDiegoOpioidProject.org. That's SanDiegoOpioidProject.org.
So that was our 30-second, and now I will go ahead and play the 15-second, which again has to be much quicker, but you'll hear how we were able to get all the information in this one as well.
He was out like that. The pill must have had fentanyl in it. Someone had naloxone, and it saved him. So now I always carry it. See where you can get naloxone for free at SanDiegoOpioidProject.org. That's SanDiegoOpioidProject.org.
Okay, so those are our 2 radio spots that we're super excited about. And I actually did just get the thumbs up to share with you all an early look at the video that we also have coming. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and give you all a sneak peek of that. Let's see here. I'm gonna let's see the best way to do this. Let's see. Sorry, bear with me. Sorry, everyone. 1 second.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Lots of information, Sarah. So good.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, we're just about there. Okay, I have so many screens up.
So far, everything worked, so this is gonna too.
Yes, it is.
There
Okay,
you go.
y'all see it? Perfect. Okay,
Yep.
let's take a look at this.
Project.org. Hey, thought we lost you. What? I'm fine.
You were not fine.
Dude, those pills must have had fentanyl in them. You were barely breathing. You wouldn't wake up. Hey, so I gave you naloxone.
Fentanyl-related overdoses are at an all-time high in San Diego County. Even if you're not sure it's an overdose, give them naloxone. It won't hurt them, but it can save them.
Learn how it works and where to get it at san diego opioid project.org.
Okay, so that is the video, and I will go back to my presentation here. Let's see. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so that video is, like I said, our 30-second spot. We also have a 15-second version, and then we also have a 30-second and a 15-second in Spanish. And we also have created a how to administer naloxone video that will be used. A 15-second version will be used on social media and other media placements. And then we also have a 30-second version that will be on the naloxone webpage to really show how to administer a little bit longer form. So again, sneak peek on those because this campaign will not launch until July, but they are approved. So we just wanted to give you all a little sneak peek here. All right. And here, again, where you can find San Diego Opioid Project, we have our Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and YouTube handles. So please follow us. Any content that you see that resonates with the audiences you serve, we would appreciate if you would share the information. And then again, here's a snapshot of what the new website will look like. Again, much brighter, very colorful. And the website again is san diego opioid project.org. And we do have on the existing site, and it will also be available on the refresh site, a downloadable resource all around naloxone. We call it a naloxone info card, excuse me. And that is available in 5 different languages that you see here on the screen. And we also are currently developing a fentanyl test strip info card that will also be available on the website soon. And that one will also be available in these 5 different languages. Okay, so now let's dive into crisis response. So the crisis response campaign is designed to inform San Diegans who don't know how or where to get the help they need for themselves or a loved one in a crisis situation to call 988. And this campaign aims to drive exposure, consumption, interaction between the audience and message across out of home, social media, print, and traditional and streaming audio. And while Rescue is developing all the assets and placing the media for this campaign, again, it will not live under any of the brands we just walked through, but it will be HHSA branded, and all the media will come from the county accounts. And so one of the hopes for this campaign was to use less stock imagery and really feature the real setting, real people, locations, vehicles, and more that someone may see if they call and receive support from 988. So with that being said, we held a 2-day photo shoot. And the first day was at the Southeastern Live Well Center. And all of the talent were sourced from the county. They were volunteers. We really appreciated their time. And we captured photos inside the center on this first day. And the second day, we had both Exodus and Telecare MCRT vehicles and their teams present. And we were able to capture footage outdoors using their actual vehicles and things. So we just wanted to share just some of the behind the scene photos that were captured on that 2-day photo shoot. It was a lot of fun. Okay, and again, another sneak peek here because this campaign also will not launch until July. But we do have the approved radio spots, so I will play these here in a moment. And then on the right side of the slide, we also have a sample asset just to show how the design will be sort of using the county branding and an image from the photo shoot. So I'm gonna go ahead and play these radio spots for you. We actually developed 2 different 30-second spots. We do have 15s as well, but we had 2 versions of the 30-second, so I figured I would play both of those for you today. So let's take a listen to version 1 first.
Life can be hard sometimes. If you or someone you know is struggling emotionally, experiencing an issue with drugs or alcohol, or having a hard time, the 988 Lifeline can help. Calling can connect you, a friend, or a family member to mental health services and referrals. We don't have to face these challenges alone. Dial the 988 Lifeline today and receive support from a local counselor at no cost. That's 988.
All right, and here is the second version.
Life can be hard sometimes. Facing challenges can bring feelings of panic, sadness, helplessness, even thoughts of self-harm. If you or someone you know is in emotional distress, the 988 Lifeline can help. You are not alone, and you don't have to figure things out by yourself. Dial the 988 Lifeline today and receive support from a local counselor at no cost. That's 988.
Right. So again, a little sneak peek for you all. And again, where to find us. As previously mentioned, this campaign will drive to the BHS website. A new webpage was actually developed called Get Help Now, and it provides information on 988. And again, the social ads will be placed through the county channels. So I went ahead and listed out those here. If you do not follow, have not followed already, please follow them as well. And again, once this campaign goes live, we would love if you could help spread the message and share the content that you see there as well. Okay, so in addition to these larger campaigns, we do have a few micro campaigns throughout the year. We call these our months of action. And so we wanted to just share with you the media plan for this year. So May is obviously now Mental Health Matters Month. It is currently live. And we have activated both social media and print for this. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, and then we have placements in the San Diego Family Magazine, El Latino, the San Diego Tribune, and Filipino Press. And for August, we will have fentanyl prevention and awareness. And again, we will be on social media, both Facebook and Instagram. And then for this one, we're really excited about this out of home placement. We will be having mobile trucks. And essentially, it's like a moving billboard, or a billboard on wheels, if you will. And it will drive around to designated areas to highlight Fentanyl Awareness Day on August 21st, and also Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st. And then in September, we have Suicide Prevention Month. And for that, we will be activated on social media again, Facebook and Instagram. And then we also have print and out of home. And for the print placements, we will again be in San Diego Family Magazine, El Latino, San Diego Tribune, and Saigon No. And for out of home in September, we will have billboards across the county. And since May is currently live, I did just want to share with you a sampling of the ads that you may see or have already seen out in the wild, as we like to call it. So here on the left side of the screen is the web banner that is currently on Up to SD. When you click this web banner, it goes to our mental health topic page. And then we also have a link there to the different activities that are happening throughout the month. So I believe this calendar gets updated throughout the month by the county. So if you're looking to get involved in any way this month, definitely go there and take a look. Down on the bottom left, we also have a few examples of the social ads in English and Spanish. And then on the right side, you can see a sampling of the print ads, also English and Spanish. Okay, and I wanted to just circle back to the timeline again here so you can see how all of the different media efforts will land throughout the year. We have a lot of content that will be out throughout the year, specifically August and September are really heavy months, so be on the lookout for those, and we really encourage you to share out any of the content, again, that resonates with the communities you serve. And I also just wanted to close us out with one more snapshot of all of the downloadable resources that are currently available. So if you weren't aware, we also produce a community bulletin that are available on uptosd.org. The bulletin that's currently in development will focus on maintaining healthy relationships, but we have tons and tons of bulletins on many different topics that you might find helpful to share with those in your community. And the bulletins, at least the latest several editions, are available in 12 different languages. So again, please feel free to find those, download, make copies, and distribute as you'd like. And then we also, again, have the naloxone info cards on San Diego Opioid Project, those in the 5 different languages. And we will also be soon having the fentanyl test strip information card as well. And then for suicide prevention resources, we have those available on Talk It Out SD in English and Spanish. And then we also have the parent or caregiver adult focused suicide prevention information on Up to SD. Again, available in those 12 different languages. Please feel free if you have any other questions that we don't get to today or anything, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is here.